If your camera suddenly activates by itself, do not check the preview immediate, because sometimes the movement it detects isn't supposed to be there. The first incident came from a man working night security inside an empty office building, scheduled for demolition. 3 floors. No electricity except emergency backup systems. No employees. No residents. Only him. At 2:43 a.m., his phone camera activated automatically while resting face up on the security desk. No touch input. No voice command. Just sudden activation. The screen displayed the front camera preview immediately. At first, he saw only himself sitting alone. Then the focus adjusted, and someone appeared standing behind his chair. Tall, motionless, too dark to identify clearly. The man spun around instantly. Nobody there. The room behind him remained empty. But when he looked back at the phone, the figure was still visible on the screen, standing exactly where it had been before. That should have been impossible. The camera wasn't showing reality. It was showing something else. The security guard later described the figure in detail during his interview. No face, no visible eyes, just a silhouette darker than the room around it, like the camera captured absence instead of shape. At first he assumed glitching, low light distortion, image persistence, anything technical. Then the figure moved, not in the room, inside the camera. A single step forward. Silent. Smooth. Intentional. The guard dropped the phone immediately. The preview disappeared when the screen hit the floor, but seconds later, the phone vibrated again. Camera reopened automatically. The figure was closer now. Investigators later reviewed the metadata logs from the device. No photo had been taken. No recording existed. And yet, internal image cache data showed hundreds of corrupted frames generated during those few seconds. Each frame showed the same thing, the silhouette gradually approaching the camera, frame by frame, closer every time. Reports spread slowly after the first incident, mostly online, mostly deleted quickly afterward. People described cameras activating unexpectedly late at night. Laptops, tablets, security systems, baby monitors. Always the same pattern. The device detects someone standing behind the user, even when the room is empty. At first, the figures remain distant, barely visible, easy to dismiss as shadows. But the longer the preview stays open, the closer they appear. One college student attempted recording the phenomenon directly using a second phone aimed at the first screen. The footage survived only partially. Investigators enhanced the remaining frames later. The shadow figure visible on phone 1 does not appear on phone 2, meaning the entity wasn't present physically, only through the active camera feed itself, as if the lens wasn't capturing reality, but another layer placed directly beside it. The first disappearance occurred 12 days later. A live stream creator reported repeated camera activations during late-night broadcasts. At first, viewers assumed it was performance art, until they noticed the figure 2, standing behind him in the room, perfectly still. The creator laughed nervously at first, turned around repeatedly. Nothing there, but the viewers kept reacting in chat. It's closer now. Behind the couch. Don't look at the screen again. The creator finally minimized the preview window, and the room instantly became silent. No electrical hum, no fan noise, nothing. He slowly reopened the preview. The figure now stood directly behind his chair, close enough that part of its shape extended beyond the frame. The stream ended seconds later. No body was ever found, but the final frozen frame remained archived briefly online before deletion. The creator's chair sits empty, the room behind him dark, and reflected faintly inside the monitor. Someone is holding the camera from behind. Internal investigation classified the phenomenon under visual parasitic events. Not haunting, not hallucination, observation, because according to recovered device logs, the entities only appear after prolonged visual acknowledgement. Looking at them strengthens them. Fear accelerates proximity. Recognition allows interaction. One researcher tested this personally under controlled conditions. Dark room. Single phone. Front camera active continuously for the first 11 minutes. Nothing appeared. Then the distortion began. Tiny black fluctuations behind his shoulder. Static-like movement. Shape without structure. At minute 14, the figure stabilized complete. Tall. Standing motionless behind him. The researcher intentionally refused to look away, trying to provoke response. Then the figure raised one arm slowly, not toward him, toward the camera itself, as if it understood where the real observation was occurring. That's when the feed froze permanently. The final experiment should never have happened. Researchers connected multiple active cameras inside a sealed observation room. No mirrors, no windows, only lenses. 32 simultaneous live feeds monitored one subject continuously overnight. At 2:43 a.m., every camera detected an additional figure in the room. Not identical positions, different angles, different distances. Like each camera saw a slightly different version of the same entity. Some closer, some taller, some partially inside walls. The subject panicked immediately after viewing the monitors, because the versions visible behind him weren't synchronized. They moved independently. One leaned closer, another tilted its head. A third appeared already standing directly beside him. The subject screamed and shut down the monitors manually. But one screen remained active. Camera 12. Investigators reviewing the footage later discovered why. Because camera 12 no longer showed the room, only the subject, standing alone in darkness, holding the camera himself, recording from the other side. The final recommendation was distributed quietly through internal cybersecurity channels disguised as hardware safety guidance. Most recipients ignored it, until similar reports increased globally. Devices activating at night, false motion detection, unknown silhouettes inside empty rooms. But one sentence from the archived report remains unchanged across every surviving copy. If the camera detects a person behind you, do not confirm the image visually. No explanation follows, because by then, they understood the real danger. The entities do not enter through cameras. The cameras allow you to notice them. And once noticed, they notice you too. So tonight, if your front camera suddenly opens by itself, if the screen shows movement in an empty room, do not keep checking behind you. Do not zoom in. Do not stare at the shape. Most importantly, do not let the camera keep focusing, because the clearer the image becomes, the closer it already is.